Welcome to another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I'm your host, Dr. Rady Rahban, and we have a very special episode for you because in this particular episode, Maria, my fabulous producer and co-captain, is not here to shoot an episode of question and answer. Now, are you?
No.
You are here because Maria is the patient. Dun, dun, dun. Maria is having surgery tomorrow.
Yes.
And so you're going to want to listen to this episode because this episode is going to be very interesting. Why? Because Maria's chicken, a scaredy cat, is wanting to do something for years and hasn't. And I want to go through this process with you all because Maria has been a part of our podcast since its inception in 2019. And so bravo. Bravo A for taking the plunge. And not because you're doing plastic surgery, good on you. No, because you were unhappy for many years. And you finally decided and built the courage and got yourself together to make your life happier. Mm-hmm. And secondly, thank you for being on the show because nobody likes to be on the hot seat and share their vulnerabilities because frankly, it's easier to be in the shadows and anonymity is the easiest way to be. So thank you and welcome to the show as our guest.
Feels different.
Yeah. So Maria, let's start with the basic question. What are you having done? And then the second is why? And the third, why now?
I'm having a breast reduction. It's a reconstruction, right? It would be considered.
It's going to be a breast. I'm going to help you on that part. So you had a breast augmentation done years ago.
No, I had a breast lift.
No.
It's an augmentation?
So let me tell you, you had a breast augmentation done years ago with a very small lift. But essentially, it was an enhancement of your breast. You're in a very special category of people such that as you've aged, your breasts have gotten larger, not smaller, which is a very unusual category. And such, at your current age and your current lifestyle, your breasts are globally too large and they sag. Mm-hmm. And so what we're gonna be doing is A, removing the implants, hopefully, B, doing a breast reduction, which is basically a lift and a reduction.
Okay.
And that's our goal, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So the question that is why now? So how old are you?
60.
60. So it must be bothering you because at 60 you throw in the towel. You're like, fuck it, I don't care anymore. But you're here because, and given that you in general are anti-surgery, you're not like, my mom at 83, if I told her to be under a knife tomorrow, she'd be there because she loves that kind of stuff. You're a person that will only be under a knife if you have to. So why now at 60? What's going on?
Well, first of all, I don't like having such large breasts. And this was a breast that I had when I was 9 months pregnant. Through menopause, they grew and grew and grew. And then now I lost weight to be able to be ready for this operation. And my breast didn't reduce. Everything else reduced except my breast.
Right. So you are inherently biologically large-breasted woman. Doesn't matter that you're...
And it runs in my family.
Right. It doesn't matter that you're petite. I guarantee you when you were a young girl, you had fuller breasts, right? Even though you may have been 126 pounds, right?
No, I was 110 and I had...
Fuller breasts. And that's genetic. Mm-hmm. But what's unusual is that as you've gotten older, many, many women, their breasts, just from getting older, they lose volume. Like their face loses volume. Their butt loses volume, right? You lose key fat. You haven't. And even more so, that's fascinating, is that you followed our instructions, high five, hey Maria, have you lose some weight in preparation for the surgery because we don't want you being heavy set because it's not ideal. And I would have expected, as would you, that your breasts would have gotten smaller because most people's breasts, while not indirectly are related to their weight. You gain 20 pounds, some of it goes to your breast. You lose 20 pounds, some of it comes out of your breast. In your instance, it's pretty damn solid. They haven't really moved. Again, yet a testament to your genetics that your breasts are generally full in that regard. So you were saying that at 60, you're just like, they're too big and I don't like them. And these are the breasts that I had when I was pregnant. What else?
No, and I kept hearing all these episodes and every time I'd hear a person talk about breast reduction, I'd be like glued to the episode. And then I'd go and I'd look at myself in the mirror and every time I go to the store and I'd buy something and I have to go one size larger, the top than the bottom because I was not in proportion. So I just decided to take the plunge. I spoke to my husband, who's back there somewhere, spoke to my husband and he told me, if this is what's going to make you happy, when I did my first lift, he didn't want me to do it at all. And when this came around, he goes, I think you're making the right decision. He felt that they didn't look proportioned and that I would feel better, and I would feel better because I'd be more agile. I just felt this weight, my neck sometimes hurts. It's like I feel I have this load up here, and it gets in the way.
Makes total sense. And that's the same thing you feel when you're 20 as you do when you're 50, as you do when you're 60. So the key and the message here is that it's never too late to begin living a higher quality of life. You could just forget the surgery. You don't need it. Go live your life. But I assure you, you'll always have issues with clothing because by and large, you're a petite woman. So you'll always have issues with clothing. 2, your back is not going to start feeling better. It's going to start feeling worse because you're only losing muscle mass as you get older, right? And 3, in terms of your ability to be agile and active and exercise and run, it just gets harder and harder because large breasts are indeed exactly what they are. You're carrying a ton of weight. So what we're going to end up doing and what we're hoping to do, and this was the discussion, is I think and I hope and I plan on trying to remove your implant. But we had this conversation. We talked about what if I remove your implant, and as a result of removing your implant, the breasts are hollow and they don't look good, right? And what we had another episode with another patient. And so we have to be very, very clear when we do these reductions. There are 2 parts to every breast whenever I talk about it. There is the shape, there is the size. And every patient who comes to me with the following phrase, my breasts are too big, I'm over it, they're just killing me, my neck hurts, I can't buy bras, my underwear don't match. All of them come in for size, right? But then when I talk to them, I said, listen, your size is connected to your shape. And there is a size in which I can't go smaller, after which point it starts to look ugly. I don't know what that size is because it's geometry. It's connected to the width of your chest and yada, yada, yada. And when I phrase it that way, 99% of them are like, what? Wait. I want them smaller, but I don't want them ugly because for them, their breasts are important in terms of beauty, a sense of femininity. If that's the case, let's just do a mastectomy. You'll be free as can be. You won't have to even wear a bra. Well, that's not conducive to being a woman. So our goal is to try to remove the implant, which I hope we can, and definitely reducing the breast tissue and lifting it and making your breast altogether more compact. Now, one of the questions is, okay, so you've been sitting here, you've been listening. What were your fears? Because you and I have been together since 2019. So that right there is 4 years of us. And prior to that, you got your first breast surgery was done when?
I was 40.
40, so 20 years ago. So for 20 years, they've been large, and probably in the last 10 years.
No, they weren't large for 20 years. They've been large for 10 years.
Okay, so for 10 years, they've been large, and you're like, ah, shit, they're getting big. And then 4 years you've been with me, and now you decided to do it, which is amazing. What were your concerns?
Pain.
So
I always thought I had a high tolerance for pain, but I think as I get older, I don't like pain.
Okay, so pain is one of them. What else?
You know, like with anything, surgery, you get nervous.
About what? Dying?
Exactly.
Okay, so because
it's not something that you're going to do wrong. It's how my body's going to react to something.
So because I want to list those things that were because reality is that we're going to do your surgery tomorrow, and you're going to do outstanding. And I know what's going to come out of your mouth at the end of 1 week. Wow, I feel so much better. God, I wish I did this sooner. I've heard that literally phrase out of people's mouth 100,000 times. And the time in which you do the surgery is the time in which you do surgery. That's your calling. This is the time. Not sooner, because this is when you decide to do it. But for many, many people like yourself, there is an obstruction. There is something that is preventing them from doing it. If you said to me, I would have loved to do this sooner, I just didn't have the money, for example, well, shit, that's the answer. I had to save.
I didn't have the time.
The time is one of them, but the other is you have some fears. So let's address those fears. The surgery you're about to have, which is the removal of an implant or replacement and a breast reduction, has minimal to no pain.
Thank God, I hope so.
An abdominoplasty, a tummy tuck, has moderate pain. A rhinoplasty has minimal pain. An eyelid surgery has no pain. Every surgery has a real quantity of pain. All of the surgeries, the pain's essentially gone by 5 to 7 days. So even if it's the worst pain you've ever experienced, at 5 to 7 days, it should be gone. If it's not, if you had surgery and you're in pain at 3 weeks, something isn't right. I don't care what you had done. Circumferential body lift, thigh lift, your arms, you had 12 hours of surgery. By the end of 1 week, your pain should be essentially nothing. So this surgery in particular, ironically, and you'll see that for yourself, will have very little pain in comparison to maybe the first time you did it. Because the first time, you were placing the implant in the first time, stretching muscles and things of that nature.
I didn't feel so much pain as like I felt a pressure.
A discomfort.
Yeah.
You won't have that anymore because the implant's been already stretched out the area. In regards to death, which is a real concern of people, statistically, the probability of you dying is, I'm going to throw a random ass number out there, 10 times that on the drive to the surgery center by a drunk driver. The likelihood of going to a board-certified plastic surgeon with a board-certified anesthesiologist in an accredited center in a wonderful facility and you dropping dead is the equivalent of an airplane flying overhead, a part of the plane breaks off, goes through the ceiling and kills you. In that, the deaths that occur with surgery occur for a reason. Like Jackie O or Kanye West's mom. It isn't just some like, well, it happens.
Joan Rivers.
If you follow them back, there was something wasn't done right. And so I think that while people are very afraid of surgery, as they should, it's surgery. The way to circumvent that is pick good people. Like go to the best. I can't afford them. Then don't do it.
Exactly.
Don't do it. Just don't do the surgery. Don't go to a half-assed place because you can afford it and then be afraid you're going to die. Well, that's not the right way to do it.
Right.
So I think that particular concern, which is echoed by a lot of people, is really mitigated by the selection of the individuals.
Yeah, everybody would tell me, and why are you going to LA to do plastic surgery? And I go, because I trust Rady. I will only do it with Rady. And my husband said the same thing. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it with him.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, what you want from a surgeon, and we've talked about this on probably 1,000 episodes, is a connection and a trust that person will, there is no more, I can tell you as a surgeon, because I've operated on many family members, and when they're under anesthesia, I'm there like a hawk. Why? Because there is no more vulnerable position you can ever be as a human. Not even when you're asleep.
Right.
When you're asleep in bed, you're vulnerable, but you're damn alert. You are completely at the mercy of the people in that room. And so you want someone that will be in the room with you from beginning to end and really give a shit about where you're positioned and how they hold you and where the heater is and all those little things that are important. And who else will do that more than your friend or family member? So if you are blessed and you have a family member that's excellent, that's a plastic surgeon, well, shit, I'd be knocking down their door because at the end of the day, they're better than some stranger you never met before.
Right.
Obviously, don't go to a doctor that's your family and they're shitty because they're your family, but definitely that's the case. Let's take a quick break and then we're going to come back. And then I want to chat about what your goals are, what your hopes are. I want to talk about a little bit about the emotional part about it because I think that there's the physical, like, oh, they'll be smaller and I can put on that t-shirt. But then there's the emotional, which is what is this going to do for me? What do I hope from this? Because we want there to be a lot of excitement about this when it comes to. So let's go and take a quick break. We'll be right back for the second half of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. Welcome back to the second half of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. All right, Maria, we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of it. Okay, so here you are for the last 10 years, very large breasts, somewhat full, somewhat heavy. Cumbersome, and now you're anticipating the new life. What are the things that you're looking forward to? What are some of the small, medium, and large things that you're looking forward to as a result of having smaller breasts?
Really, it's just feeling good, feeling like I don't have this weight in front of my chest here, being able to exercise comfortably, not having to have get my boobs out of the way so I can do my presses, whatever. It just feeling the relief. It's almost like, when they say you have a bag on your shoulder, what is it, the expression when you have the weight on your shoulders? It's taking the weight out of my chest. I want to feel lighter. I want to feel more relaxed, and I want to be able to dress the way I want to dress and feel good about how I look.
So let's talk about dress for a second, because as humans, we spend 98% of our times in clothes, right? With the exception of random intimacy moments and showering, you're always wearing something. So the idea that your whole wardrobe and every time you get dressed has to be predicated on what works for your breast, because by proportion, your breasts are that of a woman that's, say, 5'6", 155 pounds, or 165 pounds. And how tall are you?
I'm shorter, but I'm 5'1.5".
Okay, so you're 5'2".
No, I was 5'2". I'm 5'1.5".
5'1.5", and how much do you weigh now?
Right now, like 127, 128
so
before I came
5'1" and 127, and you have very large breasts. So when you go to wear a 5'1.5", 127 person's pants or dress or garment, and your breasts are that of someone.
I have to go large here, medium here.
Right. So
or small.
So what it is that because it's not like this thing. It's just kind of a nuisance once in a blue moon. Yeah. Whenever I go skiing, I have an issue with it. No. Morning, noon, and night, parties, work, activities, bathing suits. Like, it's something that predicates and permeates so much of your life that it makes sense that people get sort of trapped behind their breasts. Having small breasts doesn't have that issue, because aside from I don't feel sexy, it doesn't limit you. Having large breasts actually limits you. And there's a huge difference, because there's the prettiness of it, and then there's the functional part of it.
Large breasts don't feel sexy to me. I feel maternal. I feel like I'm about to feed my baby or something.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is the impact of the way one sees themselves through the eyes of intimacy. I know you and your husband are very close. You've been together for many years. He's a phenomenal guy. He loves you no matter what you do. Doesn't matter if you're short, tall, whatever. That being said, that's not how intimacy works. Intimacy never works from the man's perspective. I've done this show 1,000 times. I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women. Intimacy works through the eyes of the woman. The man can think you look so hot, so beautiful, so sexy, and if a woman doesn't feel that way, for whatever reasons, nonsense or real, then it affects intimacy, because you are the gatekeepers of the intimacy. The guy doesn't know any better. You think you're hot, the guy thinks you're hot. So do you think that it will, has your large breasts impacted intimacy in any way? Do you feel like that's something you look forward to? Because breasts are not your ears, right? Ears are inanimate.
I don't think it's affected our intimacy, but I do know my husband does not like large breasts.
So, well, then it's pro-intimacy. I can tell you, for a lot of women that I've interviewed over the years, whether it's their breast or their abdomens, they don't have this issue with their noses or their ears, but their breasts and their abdomen, which are things that are disrobed during intimacy, when they don't like it, they feel insecure. When they feel insecure, it's the energy that's brought into the room when you're intimate. When you bring that into the room, it affects their intimacy, even though their husbands think they walk on water. So it's a very, very, breasts are powerful. They're not your ears. Right? And so they have a lot of ramifications.
Yeah, you want to always look attractive for your husband.
Yeah, so
and I want to look good for myself, but I want to look attractive for my husband.
Absolutely, I think that's right. So, any advice you give to those people that are in your category? And what is that category? One, I'm older in terms of my years, right? Like breast reduction. When do we do it? We do it usually from 15, because I've done it as early as 15, all the way up to, like, let's say mid 40s. That's usually when you dress. Doesn't mean you can't. I've done breast reductions in 80-year-olds. That's not the issue. God, really? Yes. The question is, but doing in your 60s is in your latter years, just because by then you would have already done it. That's one category. And the other category is that I'm not a real pro plastic surgery. Like, I'm not anti-plastic surgery, but I'm not running out doing shit all day time.
Right.
How much Botox have you had in the last year?
I haven't.
0. That's the point. I'm describing you as who you are. You're a sort of a very.
But I've had Botox.
Right, but once every 40 years. You're not a go out and get Botox filler. You're not a run out and do plastic surgery thing. But just clearly is something that's. So what kind of, for those people listening that fall into that category, I'm a little older in my life, and should I just let this go and forget about it? Or I'm afraid of just doing surgeries because I'm just not really all about it. What kind of advice do we give them? Because they're listening very attentively, as you had listened for years.
I would go ahead and do it, because the longer you wait, I think the more difficult it is to do it. had in my mind that I wanted to do it. I just had to find the right time, but I did think about it to make sure the pros and the cons. And to me, the pro to doing it now was, I think it's the right time. If I wait too much, I don't want to be 70 and have these boobs and run the risk at an older age to go under anesthesia. I think there are higher risks as we get older. So I prefer to do it now and be able to enjoy it. And then when I'm 70, I'm not going to really care that much.
Okay.
But at 60, I might be 60, but I feel like I'm 40.
Yeah, no, 60 is not, I mean, shit, people are traveling the globe, dressing nicely, going to events, running triathlons, doing Ironmans. That's not really, 60 is nothing. I'm just simply saying that for some people, they think of 60 as it's too late for that. Like,
no,
it's
absolutely it's never
not.
too late. So if you feel at 70 you want to do it, to me, I wanted to do it now because I felt that now was the right time. I really would have wanted maybe to do it 10 years ago when I started my breast getting bigger. But I didn't find the right time, and it wasn't just as important. As you always say, if it's not really bothering you, then don't do it. But as I got older, as I was hitting 58, 59, it was starting to bother me a lot, especially with the clothing. Oh my God, it was driving me crazy. And I said, I have to do it now. And it took me a year to try to pencil in and figure out the perfect time.
Right.
Do everything. 2 years ago, I had wanted to do it. Then my father passed, and then all the stress.
You moved, and you're remodeling a house.
Moved and remodeling, and then if it's my mother once told me, it is never a good time to get pregnant. Well, it's never a good time to have plastic surgery, but you have to find the time.
Right.
You got to do it.
So I think the key message and take home is that number one, you'll do it when it becomes bothersome enough that you no longer want to live that way. Number two, it's never too late to do it, at 60, 70. I get calls all the time. Hey, Dr. Rahban, is it too late for me to do a tummy tuck if I'm 65? No. What is that? What if you live to be 96? Like, that's 30 years of living joyous life. Third thing is that, if you want to do it, you got to really, as we had a guest on, Tony Horton, and he was talking about committing to something and penciling out the time. And the truth is that it's a big commitment, right? The recovery, the time, the money, whatever. So it's not something that you'll just kind of fall into like, you know what? I want to do my breast reduction this month. No, you have to have scheduled it, planned it, worked around it,
Focused on the goal.
Right. So you want to definitely schedule it. Mm-hmm. And and I think the key, ultimate key element is finding someone that you trust, that you're going to feel like, okay, you know what? This is going to be okay. I'm going to do fine.
Right. And if I hadn't been doing this podcast, maybe it would have taken me a little longer, because having to do the research takes even more time. And so I pretty much had the research done the past 4 years.
Yeah, well, we definitely had no shortage of
topics.
This is the world's greatest research, 4-year research project, by sitting here listening to all the episodes. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm excited to help participate in your journey. I think I do it all the time for people that I get to meet and know. It's always an honor to take care of my family and my friends, because at the end of the day, who better than people you know? And I think you'll be super, super excited, because I do know what awaits you, which is freedom. Mm-hmm. Freedom is the key. It's kind of like unlocking a jail cell.
Flying.
Yeah, you can fly. All right, well, that wraps up this wonderful episode. You're going to want to tune in, because we're going to be following Maria through her journey. Mm-hmm. And Maria has graciously offered to sort of share her experience, because she knows that there are lots of women who are in her position who are concerned and fearful and whatnot. And I think through her eyes, you'll get to see a little bit of what transpires. So that's going to wrap up another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. As always, 2 last things. Number 1, go write something nice about the podcast. I mean, Maria and I are not just the people here. There's lots of people that participate in this show, the production, and they love when you guys write nice things. The second thing, and equally important, is share the podcast with people you love. The reality is that you're going to get a message one day that, hey, I had surgery done and it's gone terrible. And you're going to be like, oh shit, I wish I had known. I would have told you. It's too late then. So send out the podcast now to friends and family. All you're doing is giving them information in the event when they decide to do something aesthetic. Okay, guys, as always, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week on Plastic Surgery Uncensored.